Hi everybody, I'm Mary Rose Feldman. Welcome back to my studio and welcome back to another free class in the free class week on my YouTube channel. Welcome here. Thank you for being here. So nice to tangle with you. And today we're going to work again on a round Zentangle or whatever paper you want. I seem to be on a round kick for this free class week, and I'm just rolling with it. So I think all of our tiles this week are going to be round. That wasn't by design. It just kind of happened. So again, I'm going to roll with it. Before we get started, let's go ahead and just have a moment of gratitude, and then we can get right into tangling. Just sit nice and tall and take a couple nice good deep breaths, good inhales, good exhales. And at this point, we are just bringing all of our senses together. We are acknowledging how we're feeling without judgment, without problem solving. Just notice where you're holding tension. And when you exhale, invite yourself to just release that tension. When you can, get a couple nice slow inhales all the way and slow exhales all the way at your own pace, whatever feels good for you. Today's affirmation: I am a priceless and original work of art. Have a moment of gratitude. Pause the video if needed and come back when you're ready. Okay. That felt really good right now. So this is the affirmation. For those who don't know, I pull an affirmation card from my deck before every class that I teach, and this is what came up today. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our tile. This is a little over, a hair over 4.5 inch diameter circle. You can work, for this tile, you can work on anything as always. If you're working in square, that's perfectly fine, or journal, scrap paper. Use whatever supplies make you happy, and we can get started. Just a reminder, if you're watching these videos out of order, I'm going to say this on every video. I'm going at my own pace for these videos to keep them shorter. I invite you to pause as needed and really enjoy the tangling in this in a relaxed fashion. I'm just keeping my own pace for efficiency for everybody. Okay, so we're going to use our pencil first on this round, on this tile. And what we're going to do is put a pencil line somewhat, I guess it's roughly down the middle. I don't think that was on purpose, but roughly down the middle. And we're going to make 3 columns to the left. So I'm going to turn my tile upside down. I probably didn't need to do that. That was kind of silly. But I'm going to go this way, and we're going to make, that was a little wide. I'm going to go about here and aura that pencil line, and then aura, so that's 2 columns, and aura again. So 1, 2, 3 columns is what we're looking for. And then I'm going to come in and then put the horizontal lines in. So we are making a grid. It is an offset grid because it's off center. And you notice me turning my tile even with the pencil. It's because I want to see where, whoops, that's a little off. I want to see where my pencil line is going. So if I go this way, making the pencil line, it's blocking my view of the spacing. So if I did a line here and I want to make a column and I go this way, my pencil line, my pencil is blocking my eye for the spacing of what that column is. I can get it done for sure, but it's a little easier if I go this way, so I can see the pencil line already there. I can see clearly the distance, and that helps my eye. So that's why I was even turning around my tile on this. And you can see I had a couple missteps on there, but that's all good. Okay, so we are going to do a tangle called Pelrevo, I think is how it's pronounced. Pelrevo, and it's by Carrie Hune. Okay, and that's the grid pattern that we're going to put in here. So I was going to go to pen, but I think I'm going to stick with pencil on this because I want to set you up for success. And there's a bit of a rhythm in this tangle. So we're going to look at rows at a time. I'm going to do this row because it's in full. In this row, we have 3 squares. In each of these squares, we're going to think about the upper right corner and the lower right corner. So in this square, in the upper right corner, I'm going to put a box, and then I'm going to go over to the right, and I'm going to put a box in the lower right. And then in the next one, I'm going to go upper right. Okay. So technically, I'm just looking at my tile. Now, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm changing my mind on the fly, but I'm going to keep going with this. So in this row, we did upper right, lower right, upper right. Now we're going to go to the next row here. And in this one, we're going to go the left side. So we're going to go upper left, lower left, upper left. Now we're going to go to right side. Upper left, upper right, lower right, upper right. So I'm going to describe this a different way. Here's what we're looking for. Opposite squares. So a square here and a square here, and then a square here and a square here. So just 2 different ways to think about it. So this row we did the right side. This row we're going to do the left side. Upper left, lower left, upper left. Next row we're doing the right side. Upper right, lower right, upper right. And then the row that's partial, it would be upper left, which I can't see. I can see just that much. Lower left, which I can't see, and upper left. And then let's do these. So this row I did the right. So this row I'm doing the left. Upper left I can't see. Lower left. And then upper left. And then this would be upper right, lower right, upper right, which I can't see. So you end up with these diagonal squares. Okay. if you got that, tune the next part out. I'm going to explain this a different way because we all think of things different. If you look at columns, you can go tops. So in other words, this column, it's upper right, upper left, upper right, upper left, upper right, upper left. And then the next column, you work on the bottoms. Bottom right, bottom left, bottom right, bottom left. Doesn't matter how you think of it. There's a pattern there, and there's a bunch of different ways to get to the pattern. Okay, but that's what we're looking for. Okay, now we can go to our pens. I wanted to get that in first, just because it can be tricky to think about. Okay, and this one, yeah, I probably wouldn't see it. Okay, so with our pen, we're going to pick one of these squares. So this is a fragment type of thing, but we've just started the rhythm of the fragment. Fragment meaning the same pen strokes in each section we're going to put, but the direction's going to change. So I'm looking at this box right here. I'm going to zoom in for you. I'm looking at this box right here. And wherever the little box is that we put in, we're going to draw a diagonal corner to corner, and it may or may not go through the center of our little box. So a diagonal right through it. And then we're going to put in our pen lines of that box. Now we're being a little bit more careful. The pencil lines were just our guides. We're going to color in that square. We're going to trace the box. We could do that first. You can also trace all these grid lines all at once. Just depends. So right now it looks like cubine. You could say, in fact, when I first started this, I called this cubine, which is a Zentangle headquarters pattern, and then realized it ended up being something else, being this Pelrevo. And then what you're going to do is aura left and right of that box. So that's the fragment. It's a diagonal line through our little penciled in box, color that center box in, and then aura the rest of the space. So if I go to this one, I'm going to trace my square. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and trace my whole grid. Seems a bit more logical. And you'll notice that some of my squares ended up being rectangles more than squares. We're just going to go with that. I'm trying to make these short videos a bit unfussy. So if you see me just adjusting on the fly or being a little bit more relaxed, that's intentional. Whatever you get on the paper is good. Okay, so I've got my grid at least traced. So I'm going to come to the next box. My diagonal line now goes this way. And let me tell you what that diagonal line does. If you don't have a perfect square that you're working with, the diagonal line helps you figure out where the meeting points are for each side, because you might have one side really short and one side really long, and it can get a little wonky in there. So doing the diagonal line corner to corner just gives you that meeting point so that I can come into that box and I know where that box meets right on that diagonal line. I can color that in, and then I can do my auras. Now, one way you can do the auras is I tried to put, I think, 3 auras in. So 1, 2, 3. They all don't have to be evenly spaced. And then you can turn your tile and do 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's the rhythm. You're just going to keep going and filling in these spaces. So this one, I don't see my upper left box, but it's going to match this one. So I know my diagonal line goes this way. I may see that much of the box, if that. Just kind of making that up. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So if your boxes are a little not square, like mine are, that diagonal line will help you. Okay. I'm going to give you another tip, another way to think about this. Again, if you've got it, you can tune me out. But another way to think about this is that you can come in and put a zigzag diagonal line. Just like that. So see how the diagonal line is a zigzag line? That's another way to identify where those boxes would go. And we're just going to keep doing this and fill up this space. So you can see on this box, one side is shorter than the other, just because it's more of a rectangle than it is a square. No judgment. It's just the way my hand did it today. And you can do more auras than 3 if you choose. It's a good time for a deep breath. And it's also a really good time to check your pen grip. This Zen repetition, when you're in detailed spaces like this, myself included, I tend to grip my pen a little bit tighter, and it doesn't help us. It actually makes it a little bit more tedious and tension-filled. So you really want to get used to having that loose pen grip. And just allowing the pen strokes to happen. I say all the time to my students and friends, imperfections of your hand is what makes tangling beautiful. We don't want to look like a machine. We don't want perfection. We want humanness. We want art. We want interest. And perfection isn't always that interesting. Okay, so I have a tip for you if you have boxes like this. So you have a box right here that's mostly off the page, half you can see, half you can't. And you're trying to figure out which direction the lines go. The only thing we know is that the colored box is down here and off the page. So one tip is that you can take a piece of paper, which I had somewhere. You can take a piece of paper and slip that under your tile and extend the box an estimate. Finish whatever is missing in the visual. So that's what you would have. And then put in your lines. Right? So you've finished that box, and then when you take your tile away, you have what would typically be seen. I'm going to clean that up because I didn't really move my tile on that, right? So that's one really cool tip. The other tip is for this box, What's in this box is exactly the same as not this one, but this one. So you can find a box that is in the same orientation as what you can't see and then copy it. So this box right here is in the same orientation as this one that we only could see half. So the lines are going to go the same way. So you can just maybe cover up some of the lines, and that's what you can see down here. Or you can copy it to the best of your ability. But those are two tips when you have something running off the page and you're not quite sure what would be seen on your tile. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up these last couple. Like this one. This box is the same orientation as this one. So my diagonal line's going to go there. I would see just the top. There we go. All right. So that's our Pelrevo, and you can pause the video if you need to. I'm going to keep moving to keep the video going. Okay, so what we're going to do, keep your pen, and I am going to aura really skinny the right and the left side of this grid. So there's our Pelrevo. It looks super flat right now. When we add shading, all the magic will come. But we're going to do the next tangle pattern. We actually have two tangle patterns on this one. And the next one is Aqua Flour. And this is a Zentangle headquarters tangle. And we're going to start this one with pencil because I think it's just a little bit easier. We're going to come to, so orient your tile so that this is on one side. You don't want it this way, you want it vertical, at least the way I'm teaching it. And with pencil, we are going to make a wavy blob on that side, and it can be even wavier than that. I probably didn't make it wavy enough. Okay, and now I'm going to orient it this way because I'm right-handed and it works a little bit better for me. Okay, so I'm going to put a point around where I think the center. This works off center too, which would be kind of interesting, but I'm just going to keep it centered right now. We're going to look at that pencil line. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to start at that pencil line. I'm going to go up and down, and mine always has a little bit of an S-curve wave to it. I'm going to start at that same point, and I'm going to aura to that same point. So what we're ending up with is a band, and we're going to come in with a thicker pen after we get all these in. But I just want you to see where we're going. And with flick marks, we're going to color in this band. Notice how wispy those edges are. You don't want this to be a stripe, you want it to be a highlight. And to get that, you need the wispy edges right here. If that's blunt, it looks like a stripe. You want it to look like a highlight. Then I'm going to turn my tile. I'm going to leave a little space, start on the line, and then come down to the same point. Turn my tile, and you're just going to walk your way around. How many you get in is your choice. How tightly they are spaced together or apart is your choice. Lots of flexibility. Okay, so I have that. I got 6 bands in, which is fine. And then I'm going to take my thicker pen and color this in like I showed you in the first one. I try to get the highlights to be in alignment with each other. I don't always do it. I miss it quite a bit. Oop, like that one, I started thinking about the next step I wanted to go over, and it got a little low, so I'm okay with that. There's all my stripes put in. And then there's 2 ways you can do this. I'm gonna keep moving ahead. Just a reminder, so you don't think I'm rushing you. Just pause the video if you need to. I'm gonna come in with my pencil. I'm not tracing this line with pen. I'm gonna come in with my pencil and really give it a definitive shade. So I'm shading over that pencil line and adding some good graphite right there, because we need more than just what's there. You can come in here with a thin pen. I have done that before also. I like both ways. And I'm really just laying down a lot of graphite. And while we're here, I'm going to lay graphite on the edge of the Pelrevo and in the pie, bottom of the pie shapes. Just while the pencil was in my hand. I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit, but okay, so here's what you're going to do. With your tortillon, you're going to blend down that graphite part way, kind of align it with your highlight if it works. It may or may not work distance wise, but just bring it down 1/3 of the way. We're going to save room for that highlight. And then you're going to go the opposite direction. You're going to get this shade done behind the Pelrevo. And then you're going to bring in up the shading from the center. So now your pen has that highlight and your background shading has that highlight. And I know that was a little bit quick. I sped up myself for some reason. I don't really know why. I think I was just excited to see it. Okay, so you can come in with a thin pen and edge this if you want, but it's a little too dark for me. Maybe you could do it with a gray pen. There's also argument to come into these little gaps right here and color in with pen. So see how that rounded it out? I like both ways, and it's kind of 50-50 whether I do or don't. So that's up to you. While we have our shading hat on, let's go ahead and shade Pelrevo. And you could do this several different ways. And what I did is I looked at every square and where the straight lines met the vertical lines. So right here, where these auras, right here, these auras butt against a straight line. I'm imagining these auras going under this straight line. So I'm putting graphite on the aura side. And over here, these auras are coming to that straight line. I'm putting shading. Okay. So I'm going to do that to all those. And then I'm going to turn my tile. And these auras go up against that line. And these auras. So when you get done, the shading that you have is away from our diagonal lines. That diagonal line is where the bright spot is. Diagonal line being right here. Okay, so we can go ahead and shade all the way down. You're always shading on the aura side. So when you pull this out, you want to make sure you don't go too far. Maintain lights and darks. And the shading of this makes this tangle really interesting. You can shade this a bunch of different ways too. This is just one option. Because it gets this very interesting overlappy, weavy type of effect. There you go. Really just pops it off the page. And like I said in a couple other videos, you can come back in and you can make these overlaps more dramatic with a 2B pencil, a 4B pencil, a specialty pencil, and get very dramatic overlap by darkening that shading. But for today, we're going to keep it like that. And then all I'm going to do on this tile for a border is just a very skippy double line. This is kind of my go-to when I'm doing tangling. So I'm using my pen pressure to just change up that line, skipping it as much as I can, and then doing another skippy. Whoops, that's a little too much. Then I think looking at this, just to finish it up, I'm gonna put a nice dark border shading on either side of the Pelrevo to just pop that a little bit more. I think I may even darken the pen line on the outer part of Pelrevo. So I'll darken this. All of these little details do add up. If you're not in the mood for them, you don't need to put them in. I could tell you the shading in person is darker than what's appearing on camera. But I would even like a little bit more drama in that shading. So I might play with that a little bit more. Add our chop. Take a nice good deep breath. Maybe wiggle those fingers. That was a lot of tangling today. Do a little stretch. Moment of gratitude. I thank you for tangling with me, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.